What's happening, folks? It's your boy Reminisce. I'm showing you guys a vocal recording template that I've been working on in Cubase 14. Now, right off the bat, you can also do this in any DAW you want. I've done this in Pro Tools. I've actually done one in Ableton. And like I said, if you got a DAW that can do, auxes and stuff like that, it'll work for anything. So I just want to quickly go through this and kind of show you what I've been doing. So let's start up here on the left here. So at the top is where the beat's going to go. And then here I've got basically a bunch of folder tracks here, 4 to be exact. And I've got lead vocals, hooks, background vocals, which could be, harmonies and doubles and triples, and vox chops. Those are like ad libs, one-off words or whatever. That's where I usually put that in. And then in each folder, you've got basically 4 tracks that you can record on, which dump into an aux, and I'll go through the routing in a minute. But basically, all I've done is separated where I want to go, because it's a lot easier for me later on to kind of move stuff into a different session or whatever, and everything's got a different color coordination. So I know, when you've got like 15, 20 tracks of people recording, you kind of know what section you're in. That's why I color coordinate stuff, which I highly recommend. Color coordination is key. And I can do another template of my mix that I do, like my mix template. I'll do that on a different video, and I'll show you kind of like how I set that one up. But anyways, let's get into this one. So the important thing is for me when I record on my this one right here, mic, this is the input. And what I do is I route the vocals into a bunch of plugins which get recorded to the DAW on one of these channels. So this is kind of a standard one for me, which I've been using for years in the hardware, into the Avalon, doing a little bit of compression. Again, just gentle stuff. I don't really use the EQ on this, but I'm not going past -3 or like halfway any of the peaks. It's just gentle, just trying to control the vocals. And then out of that goes into 1176. Now you can use one or the other or both. It's up to you. I have these in here so I can pick and choose of which sounds good. Maybe both sounds good. And then into the SSL, which again I'll use for tone shaping. Most of the times I'll be taking off, like I already got it set in the template. I'm rolling off everything, on the low end side because I don't need it. And then you can, adjust that to whichever way or what, how much you want it. I'm usually like around 100-ish, somewhere in there. And then if I do anything, depending on the vocalist, I might take out a little bit of mud, or I might, boost a little bit of, high somewhere, just to kind of get that already recorded, so it's less work for me in post. So that's kind of like a default chain that I use. And then when I shut these guys off, I have this one here, which is just the virtual mix rack. And this is a separate thing. So I have those other 3 plugins, which I use, or, a combination of, but I will never use this and those at the same time. So this is a separate sort of, you can think of as a mic pre. So I just have this gate, which isn't really doing much, just to control the level. Going into a 1073. Again, I'm not really doing much. I barely touch the virtual drive. It's just really for tone. Going into a compressor. And again, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not pegging this. Very light compression. Into an SSL. Again, this is another compressor, so I might choose both, or I might pick one or the other depending on what I like. And then into this SSL EQ. Again, as you can see, I'm at rolling off at about 100. And if I do anything, again, maybe some highs, maybe some lows, maybe some mids, depending on the vocalist. That's kind of like the routing of the incoming signal. And now what I do have is, so I'm on each sort of channel that I record on, I've got auto-tune, pretty much standard, especially with singers that want to hear it as they dub in. I'll use that. And then for the singer to kind of feel and get the vibe, I've got all these routed to specific aux channels, and on the aux channels I've got an R compressor, again, just to control stuff. And again, this isn't destructive. This is just, kind of like what they're going to sound like near the end. Not quite, but, they get the feel of how it's going to sound. And then I also got a CLA vocals to add a bit of reverb delay. You can use anything you want here. This is just easy to use. Pull it up, touch a few buttons, and you're done. And that's pretty much it for the template. So like I said, I've got lead vocals, hooks, background vocals, and my chops. and I'll go in and record each section or whichever one. I can bounce around. I kind of know where I am. Everything's there laid out, ready to go. So guys, I highly recommend you guys using templates. The recording template really helps. I only started getting into this a few years ago. And I wish I didn't sooner in my life, because it's so much easier to see what you're doing. Everything's laid out. It's just a matter of exporting it or importing the beat in here, whatever. Like, you can use this as your, session. And this is so nice because sometimes when I'm recording this, some of the labels will say, all right, bounce me the vocals. And it's just a matter of opening the session. Everything's in there. I'll comp in here if I need to, and I can bounce everything out without worrying about other stuff that's a mess. And it's so much easier to do. So I hope you guys like this video. If you want more stuff like this, let me know, man, because I want to get more to the technical side of things of how I make music and how I mix and master this stuff. And I really want to start from the basics of using your DAW as a tool, setting it right so it makes your workflow a lot easier. This has been this is part of my workflow, and hopefully something like this you guys can create for yourselves and be part of your workflow. You know what I mean? So like I said, I highly recommend it. But yeah, if you like this video, please, man, subscribe to the channel. Be great. Share it, like it, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm DJ Reminisce. Peace out.